Hey there, welcome back to the channel, friends. I'm Rhonda and this is a little bit of everything homestead. It is an overcast, wet, gray day in Wisconsin and Scott is outside building our deck. So I thought that I would throw together a pot of split pea and ham soup for him for dinner tonight. You know, when you're outside working in cold, icky weather like that, a nice hearty soup will like warm up your belly. I've never made split pea soup before, so this is all new to me. I went on Pinterest and I researched some recipes, and then I went on YouTube and I watched some videos. It seems to be a pretty easy process. So what I have is one medium onion. I have some celery and some carrots left over from a relish tray that we had over the holidays. I have a ham bone and some ham, a 1 pound bag of peas. I don't have chicken stock or beef stock, so I'm going to use water. I am cutting up bacon right now. My ham is like a brown sugared ham and it's sweet. So I want to cut that sweetness with more of a smoky flavor. So I'm going to brown up some bacon and then I will dice up the onion and cook the onion in the bacon grease. And hopefully that will give it like it'll mask the sweet flavor from the ham. So what I'm gonna do now is I cut up my bacon. I'm going to put it in my soup pot and get that rendering and cooking. Then I will rinse the peas and then I will come back and dice up the onion to throw into the bacon grease once the bacon is done cooking. I cut up about half of my package of bacon into like little bite-sized pieces. And then I separated, well, I tried to separate them all. They'll separate while they're cooking too. So I am just going to brown it up. I'm not gonna let the bacon get real crispy, just a little bit crispy. I wanna sprinkle it over the top of the soup when I serve it in the bowl. I won't put it like directly in the soup. Hopefully that is what the grease will do. So I am just going to get this cooking and I'm gonna go back over and cut up the onions. I am going to slice up the onions. I'm not following like a precise recipe. I don't think that there are measurements, but I am just going to use what I have. So I have probably 2 cups of baby carrots and a cup of celery that I'm going to dice up. And then I have 1 medium onion that I am going to dice up and use. The YouTube video that I watched, she did not measure out anything. She just kind of eyeballed it. And that's kind of what I'm going to do. I have enough of everything, I think, for the recipe. I have bacon, ham, celery, carrots. So you just kind of do it according to the flavor. And like I said, some people add potatoes. I don't think I'm gonna add potatoes for my first time. Let's see, what else? I think that's it. I cut up the onion, so let's rinse the peas. I just turned off the bacon. It is done cooking. I am just gonna keep it in the grease and do a little bit of carryover cooking. I'm gonna open the peas, throw them in a colander and rinse them off. And then I got to thinking, you guys, I can throw the ham in the colander and rinse off that gravy that the ham is in. And that might cut some of like the sugary flavor that I am picking up. Did I tell you guys, I made scalloped potatoes and ham for supper last night, and that's how I know that it's like, well, we had it for Christmas, but like in a hearty, like in scalloped potatoes and ham, you don't want it sugary, you want it to be like a smoky flavor. So when I made it last night for supper, there was like that sugary background, there was like a hint of sweetness, and I didn't like that. So I'm hoping if I rinse off like the gravy part of it, it won't be like in the ham too much. And then the bacon grease will, you know, help cover up that like sugariness. It's worth a try, right? I'm rinsing the ham and look at, like, can you guys see the brown, that must be like the brown sugar gravy. So I'm glad I'm doing this, because I think it is really, it's going to help get some of that off of there. And it won't have like that brown sugar flavoring. I'm just gonna give them a good rinse. Make sure that there's, you know, like the one lady said she found a stone in her bag. So I'm just gonna like go like this and just kind of sift through them a little bit. And just give them a good rinse. And then we are gonna throw them in the pot. Okay, I got the bacon out of the grease, and I am just gonna add my onions and let them cook for, I don't know, 10 minutes, and just let them like soften. And then I'm gonna throw in the peas and the ham bone. And in the meantime, I'm gonna cut up the carrots and the celery. For the carrots, I am going to cut them like, it's a mini carrot, and I am gonna cut them in 3s. I want the carrot to be a little bit like a chunkier piece, because I don't want them to get cooked totally through. So I want them to have like a little bit of a bite left to them. I want them to have some integrity. And I think it'll just make it makes the soup kind of rustic and really hearty when you can bite into a big chunk of carrot and it isn't like pure mush. I don't know, it's a texture thing for me. So I am going to go through and I am going to cut up all my carrots, like I said, in, you know, a nice big bite-sized piece. And I am gonna do the same with my celery. And then I will bring you guys back for the next step. I'm still cooking in the bacon grease. Oh my gosh, you guys, is there any better smell than onions cooking in like butter or bacon grease? It smells so good in this kitchen right now. So what I'm gonna do next, once the onions are like translucent, is that the word? Like once they're cooked down and they're softened, I am then going to add this little ham bone. I am going to cut up the bigger chunks. I am going to cut these up into little bite-sized pieces, and I will add those later on after the soup has time to cook down a little bit. So the next step is to add the ham bone and the peas, and then cover it with water and let it cook for 1.5 hours to 2 hours, is what the lady on the YouTube video said. So let's do that next. The onions are at the point where I can add in the ham bone and the peas. I left all the grease in the bottom of the pot because I want that flavor. I don't want any of that flavor to get away from me. And now I am just going to fill this pot up with water until that ham bone is covered. I am using my pot filler. I think it is only the second time since we've lived in this house that I was able to use this. I am just going to fill it up until it is just a little bit past that ham bone. And then I am going to cover it, bring it to a boil, and then turn it down and let it simmer for 2 hours. Now we are at the point where we are actually making the soup. I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to this. I am going to cover it and just kind of let it do its thing. I will check on it periodically to make sure that there is enough water for the peas to get cooked down and get thick. It's been about 1 hour since we put the ham bone and the peas in the water on to cook. I brought it up to a boil, and once I knew it was at a solid boil, I turned the burner down as low as it would go and just let it like simmer. You know how you do bone broth where you turn it on and then you just kind of let it simmer all day? that's what I'm doing here. So let's check on it. Always lift the pot lid away from you so you don't get all that steam in the face, or you'll get a split pea facial. Oh, it smells so good. The water is green. Oh, the peas are definitely breaking down and they're starting to turn like that creamy. Let me bring you down here and show you. All right, I want to show you the consistency of the peas. Like, they're starting to break down and get mushy, but that's what they look like so far after an hour. There are parts of it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get close enough. The steam is going to steam me out. But can you see when I stir it? It looks a little mushy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cover on it and I am going to let it cook for another half hour. I think now would be a good time to cut up the ham and add the ham and the celery and the carrots to the soup while it's on its like last half hour of cooking. I'm going to cut away some of the fat on the ham. I'm going to leave some, but I'm going to cut like the bigger pieces off because I don't want that. I don't want somebody to eat the soup and then bite into a big chunk of fat. That's never fun. So I'm just going to go through and cut up this ham into like bite-sized pieces. And then I will add the carrots and the celery to the soup. I'm so excited, you guys. I've never made this before, and so far the process has been super simple. It's just cutting up vegetables, carrots, celery, ham, and some people don't even put carrots or celery into their pea soup. You know, some people just do peas straight across the board in chicken stock or vegetable stock, and they just eat it like that, maybe an onion. So you can make it, you can add to it whatever you want. When I was little, I always had the carrots in my pea soup. So I like carrots in my pea soup. Potatoes are a new thing for me. Growing up, we didn't have potatoes. Bacon always added, you know, another layer of flavor. But it's kind of like a peasant soup. You cook what you have. You know, if they had a potato, they threw it in. If they had an onion, they threw it in. If they had, you know, carrots and celery, they threw that in. So it's kind of what you fancy in your soup. So that's how I took it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm adding carrots, celery, ham, bacon, onion. I am done cutting up the ham. So I am going to very carefully add it to this boiling soup without splashing myself. Maybe I should put it on the spoon like this and then lower it in. I think would be a better bet. I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit because I am adding cold vegetables and cold meat, and I don't want to stop that boiling process. So I'm going to turn the burner up just a little bit to keep the boil going. And then once I have all the other ingredients in, I will turn it back down. But this last half hour is going to be when it transforms. You know, the peas are going to transform from a pea to like mush. But oh, it's going to be so good. And I left the ham bone in the soup. I am going to let that stay in until the peas are absolutely cooked down. and it is the consistency that I want it. And then I will take the ham bone out. I will take off whatever meat is left on that ham bone and put it back into my soup. And then I will throw the ham bone into the trash. So there you go. Everything is in. I'm gonna just raise the heat up just a tad more to get that boil back up. And then I'll cover it and let it cook for another half hour, 45 minutes. Seeing as how we are making this soup for Scott, I thought it would be fun to go outside and check on him and see how far he has gotten on the deck. And I thought I would take you guys along with me. So let's go see what he's doing. Hey, babe.
Hello.
Wow. You got far.
We're getting there.
What did you do so far?
I put in all the supporting brackets for the posts, so you can see them on the things down there. And I got them
Hang on. Let me come over and show them.
So these are just the brackets. So we put the diamond piers in a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And then these brackets just hold it on there. So I straightened them all out, got them all where they're supposed to be. You can see the string on there to line them all up.
Okay, so this part here is what the board goes into.
Yeah, so this is the post for the deck, the holding the whole deck up, and then so it's attached to here.
Oh,
so
okay.
This bracket's attached to the diamond pier, then this bracket attaches to the post, and then I'm basically. And yesterday, what I did is I went through and I leveled it all off, so all these are level, and there's going to be a board that goes across your header board, and then the joists will go across that, and it should be, if I did my math right, level with where it's supposed to be up there. So
all of these pulls are different heights because we're going downhill, right?
Correct. Yep.
But we want the platform of the deck to be.
Yeah, it should be pretty close to level. Like all these, it's probably an optical illusion, but this one is the same height as that one, which is the same height as that one, which is the same height as that one.
Gotcha.
And then I'm gonna put, once these, I have 3 more to go here. I'm gonna put, I don't know what you call it, the board across to support all the joists. So the joists that were off the house will attach the board here. So I got hangers, so it'll get attached just below this lip here, so right on this 2x10 there, and it's going to go over and essentially set all the way on top of all these out to here.
Gotcha.
And then your deck goes on top of that.
And then that's where you put the pieces of the deck.
Yep. So I have to finish these 3. Hopefully I can get it done today yet. And then
the floor pieces is what I meant to say. I couldn't. I couldn't figure it out.
And I gotta frame it in, and I gotta make sure it's close to square.
Awesome. You're doing so good. There's some, like here, right here, there's some piers that he hasn't gotten to yet. So there will be more of these in there. He just hasn't gotten that far. Wow, it looks great.
Yeah, it's just slow going when you're by yourself because you gotta get everything square.
Yeah, I bet. The good news is I'm making split ham and pea soup. Are you excited?
Split ham and pea soup?
Yeah. Or split ham and split pea.
Awesome.
You know what I meant. Okay, I'll let you get back to it.
Nice. The
soup has been cooking for almost 2 hours. The consistency is getting really nice. So what I'm going to do is I am going to fish out this ham bone and put it on a cutting board, and I'm going to let it cool, and then I am going to take all the meat off and put it back into the soup. The soup I am going to leave off the heat, and I'm going to let it cool down a little bit because as it cools it will thicken again, or thicken more, and then when Scott is ready to eat I will heat it back up and I will serve it to him. So I will bring you back for that so he can do a taste test for you guys. All right, the ham bone I think is cool enough. I started to take a couple of little pieces off and it is cool enough to handle. So I'm going to take all the meat off of this little bone and stick it back into the soup. And then I will just discard this bone, but they're for a tiny little bone, there was an awful lot of meat still left on here. So it pays to use it and boil it down. Plus you get like all that good bone marrow. Like look at inside of there. Can you see all that good bone stuff comes out into the broth? And using water instead of like chicken stock or vegetable stock, I don't think really, well, I can't say for sure, but for me, I've been doing a little taste test along the way, and it tastes like pea soup, you guys. Maybe using like a vegetable stock or like a chicken or a beef stock maybe gives it more depth of flavor, but just using water, it didn't turn out bad. So I'm gonna look at all the meat I got off that little bone. So I'm just gonna bring it over here and put it into the soup. You guys, my soup thickened up so nice. Let me wash my hands and then I will show you what it looks like. Letting it cool, it thickened up so much. Like, look at how thick it is. I like it a little bit creamy like that. Some people like it like really thick to where it's like chunky. I don't like that. I like it to have a little bit of give. It smells so good. I cannot wait for Scott to taste it because it tastes like it is so yummy. I think the consistency is perfect. I'll let it boil a little bit more, but man, I am pretty close. Okay, you guys, it is the moment of truth. Scott is packing up his tools and coming into the house. So I want to have this ready for him so he can give you guys an honest taste test. And then I'm going to scoot it over here and I'm going to sprinkle it. I have some bacon bits back here that I'm just going to garnish it with, make it look pretty. I don't know if it's pretty, it's pea soup, but you know. All right, I think Scott is coming in. Okay, you guys, Scott just sat down and he's going to give it a taste.
Yum. It's very good. Tastes just like pea soup.
That's what I said. Are the carrots mushy or do they still have like a little bite to them? I wanted them to be just a little bit, have a little bit of texture.
Yeah, they're not mushy, but they're soft for sure.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Can you taste the bacon?
Not in those 2 bites.
It's hot.
It's a little hot.
It's hot.
Yeah. It's very subtle.
Can you taste, now the important thing, can you taste the brown sugar from the ham? Because I rinsed it. No, you can't?
When you chew the ham itself, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not in the soup.
Awesome. Overall, 1 to 10.
I like pea soup, so I'd say this is an 8.
Oh, for my first time. Nice. Well, you guys, that's a pretty good rating for my very first time. An 8 out of 10. I'll take it for sure. That's it for today. Thank you for hanging out in the kitchen with me as I make my first time around split pea and ham soup. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye, friends.